What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Action Jackson, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the top NFC teams to watch for in the 2023-24 NFL season. So before we hop into the video, I'd appreciate if you guys would like the video, subscribe if you're new, comment and share my video with anyone who you think will enjoy my content, and leave in the comment section what's a team in the NFC that you guys are looking out for who I won't probably list. And also, I am going to be doing a part 2 to this video, so I'm talking about NFC today. After I get done with this video, I'm going to be talking about the AFC. Just to preface the video as well, I already know your top 3 teams I'm not going to talk about because I'm not going to waste my time talking about them, because I feel like out of the 3 teams, 2 of them have the 2 best quarterbacks in the conference. And then the third team, they have a really great team. They just don't have a quarterback that, they don't have a designated quarterback that's going to start. So in the NFC, your top 3 teams are going to be the My Dallas Cowboys, the Eagles, the Niners. That's not in any particular order. Those are just going to be your 3. Philly has a complete roster up and down. Dallas does as well. They just have to take care of their opportunities. The Niners, they have a really great roster, and they also have a pretty set schedule where they can set up. They can get a lot of they can get a lot of wins, specifically in their own division. If they figure out their quarterback situation, and as long as their quarterback can make crucial throws, they don't mess it up. They have a great offensive weapons all around them, solid offensive line, and a great defense to where Brock Purdy, Trey Lance, Sam Darnold, whoever's in, as long as they don't mess up, they can win a lot of football games. So I'm not going to talk about the obvious 3 teams. They're all good in my opinion. I think that if no significant injuries, you're going to see a mixture of those 3 either in a title game, a Super Bowl, whatever. So the 6 teams we're going to be talking about now, and they are in order in teams of I'm watching for on my list. So number 1 is going to be the Seattle Seahawks. I love the draft, what they did. I'm not going to go into depth of their draft. I already talked about it already. But just real quick, if you look at their first round, you got Jackson Smith and the Jigba. That goes really well. And he's a really nice trio to set up with Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. Then you got Kenneth Walker. You got Zach Charbonnet out of UCLA, who they drafted, who's going to be a really complimentary back behind Kenneth Walker. They have a solid offensive line, which I love, in Charles Cross, Abe Lucas. You got your solid tackles. Your interior line could be a little bit better, but I like what they got there so far. Tight end, you got Noah. Tight end isn't really going to be much that's going to be a plus to their offense, but their star powers are going to be Kenneth Walker, their trio at wide receiver. I love their defense. I felt they could have got Jalen Carter at 5, but I still like Devin Witherspoon. He was still my cornerback 1 in the draft. But you got them. You got Witherspoon, Tariq Woolen. You got Jamal Adams coming back, who can add to the sack room and add to the pass rusher side of things. You got Quandre Diggs. You got Bobby Wagner back. You got Derek Hall out of Auburn. So I really like that team and how they're well constructed. They're going to be a smart football team. I love the way that they're going to be able to play games. They're going to be able to run the ball on you with the offensive line. They're going to be able to air you out because they have a solid quarterback in Geno Smith. Then they also have a solid defense that can back up the offense when they are in struggle games against the Niners or Dallas with a great defense that we do have. Other teams like that, if they're ever in a tough situation, they have a defense that can keep them in the game, and I believe that they're going to be able to do that. They have a great head coach. I love their coaching staff. I think they're going to be just fine. I think Seattle Seahawks is definitely going to be either, if they don't win the West, which I think is going to be much tougher of a battle for the West this year than it was last year. I know it still was a fight, but once the Niners got things going, they figured out their quarterback situation. Brock Purdy stepped along and did well, and that defense played better as the time went on when that offense got going. But I think it's going to be a lot better because now Seattle has enough offensive weapons to compete, and their defense got a lot better than last year, and they got guys coming back. So Seattle's 1 for me, and then 2 from 4. So 2, 3, and 4, those are all 3 teams that are going to be in the NFC South. And the reason why I'm discussing the NFC South to an extent is because that's going to be an intriguing division, in my opinion, because all 4 can potentially take the cake for the division. You guys still have Tampa in there. I'm not going to include Tampa because I don't like their quarterback situation, even them having Baker Mayfield. You got Kyle Trask. You have a bunch of quarterbacks who I don't really believe in that can really do it at NFL type of level. So, they saw, they technically, them, Bucks, and the Saints, those two are the top two teams in the South. But I think who has the best team in the South really is New Orleans Saints. I think that you have a top 10 quarterback at times. When he's healthy, doesn't have much to worry about. Derek Carr plays like a top 10 quarterback. You saw that in 2021 when he did have weapons with Zay Jones, less weapons than he did in 2022. But I think that if New Orleans already has a top 10 defense, in my opinion, when they're healthy, you got Marshawn Lattimore, Marcus May, Demario Davis, Pete Warner, you got Cam Jordan, you got Marcus Davenport. So you still have a bunch of solid guys on that defense that can still play for you. And I just think that, if they're healthy, New Orleans is going to be a really tough team in that division. I think that they can easily win 10, 11 games if healthy. And that also includes Michael Thomas being on the field. Now, I'm not going to be delusional and say, hey, if he can play like 2018 Michael Thomas, New Orleans is going to be a top 4, top 3 team. But I think that if you can just get Michael Thomas on the field already alongside with Shaheed that they had last year that stepped up. They got Chris Olave. You got Juwan Johnson at tight end. You still have Ryan Ramczyk. You still have a solid offensive line. You still got Alvin Kamara. You got Kendre Miller at TCU that they drafted as well. So I really like with that New Orleans offense and just that team overall. You still got Dennis Allen, who's a solid defensive coach. I'm pretty sure they're going to be able to figure it out offensively because, like I already said, Derek Carr, who can play top 10 at times. I just think that Derek Carr is coming into a system where they care for football. Even the Raiders, they care for football as well. But I think this town, they're going to be extremely committed to Derek Carr. I think they're going to finally recognize what having a real quarterback could be like. And they have solid weapons in New Orleans. And I think that if they're healthy, which has always been a problem for them in years past, if that, they had major injuries to quarterback. Drew Brees couldn't stay healthy. Things of that nature. Michael Thomas hasn't been able to stay healthy for the past 2 seasons, 3 seasons if you want to be technical. But for sure, the past 2 seasons, he has not been healthy. And that's been a major problem for them. And number 3 is Atlanta. And I think Atlanta can definitely be a team that, again, if they have things clicking, I think they're definitely going to be a team that can definitely be in the mix of the NFC in terms of the wild card. I won't be surprised if they were a 6 seed and they went out and they had beat, whoever the 3 seed was, whether that was, Philly maybe or something. I just won't be surprised, or whoever wins the NFC North, whoever wins that, I feel like if they're a 3 seed, I feel like a team like Atlanta can come up and sneak on somebody because you got Desmond Ridder, who's a solid quarterback, but if you just look on the outside of the team, you got Jake Matthews at tackle, you got a solid interior offensive line, you got Kyle Pitts, you got Drake London, Bijan Robinson, Cordero Patterson. I just think, and then defensively, you got AJ Terrell, Jeff Okudah, Jesse Bates, Richie Grant, Calais Campbell. You have some guys on that team, and you still got Young Wei Koo for your kicker, who's solid enough and will be able, with the accuracy that he does have in leg power, he'll be able to knock down crucial points when you need him to. And I think Atlanta can definitely be a team that sneaks up. Now, the only thing that begs question for me with Atlanta is their quarterback situation. Desmond Ridder did solid for them in the past couple of games. I did like what they did do was bringing in Taylor Heineke in case Desmond Ridder isn't really ready or he underperforms. But I think Desmond Ridder is going to be really solid. He was solid quarterback in Cincinnati. He did well over there in Cincinnati. I think if he comes to the NFL, which he already has been, but I think that with a full offseason underneath his belt, with him having reps day one and running with the starting team, I think he can do just fine. But this is a team that if they had a Matt Ryan, now I know Matt Ryan didn't have a good season last year, but Matt Ryan was expected to be on that Colts team to elevate the Colts and potentially put him in the playoffs. He didn't do that because, offensive line was unhealthy. Defense wasn't what they thought it was going to be. And, yeah, that's pretty much what happened. Jonathan Taylor didn't have the season that he had the year before that he did in 2022. So I think if they had like a Matt Ryan on this team, you look at this team, they'll be talked about a lot more. But I'm still talking about him because if you just look at this roster overall, it's great. You got Arthur Smith, who's their head coach. He was the offensive coordinator in Tennessee when they had Derrick Henry in that 2019 run. They utilized Jonnu Smith, they had A.J. Brown. So I think Atlanta got a similar makeup of that team, except, they don't have, who knows what Bijan Robinson is going to be once he comes in the league. Can he be like Derrick Henry? That's not his play style. But I really love their roster. You still got Tyler Algier for depth, so you're three deep at running back. Yeah, Cordell, who's a flex, who can play running back and wide receiver. So I really like that makeup of Atlanta's team. 4 is Carolina, another NFC South team, like I said before. I love Bryce Young. I feel like he's going to have a tremendous season. And what I mean tremendous is that I believe he's going to be able to go in there and give the Carolina Panthers hope. And I think that he can ball. And the same thing, he's been less than 6 feet his entire life. He balled out in that high school, rated high school in California, where he played at 4 or 5 star coming out of that. Played at Alabama. After he took the reins from Mac Jones, took the team to national championship, lost to Georgia. But I believe if Jameson Williams didn't go down, they obviously would win that game again. But he did beat Georgia in the SEC playoffs to get into the playoffs and be the number 1 seed. So, and won a Heisman, had another year where if the defense wasn't horrible, I feel like they still probably make it to the playoffs. Who knows? But I felt like with him coming in, him being an electric a starter for them, I think he's going to be able to go in there and take the reins. He's already won the starting job over Andy Dalton. I already knew that wasn't going to be much of a problem. But Frank Reich, you want to take these young quarterbacks, you want to take them slow in these parts of the NFL. So right now, you got Jonathan Mingo, you got Adam Thielen, you got DJ Chark, you got Tommy Trimble, you got Ike Ekwonu at left tackle, you got Taylor Moton. So you got bookend tackles, you got Deontay Foreman, you got Miles Sanders, who can be a solid running back and can take the load off of Bryce Young in spots. That defense is still young. I love J.C. Horn. I definitely wanted him or Pastor Tane to be on my team. But we got we got Micah Parsons, which is not a bad alternative. But you still got Jeremy Chin. You got Shaq Thompson, Derek Brown, Brian Burns, Richard Gross, Matos. Like, you have a bunch of guys that if they're utilized properly, which they can be on defensively, because they did get the Denver Broncos defensive coordinator into Carolina. You got Frank Reich, who's a solid offensive genius, is going to be able to run that RPO system that what they did run in Alabama. And I think that if you run that with Bryce Young, I think Carolina's going to be just fine. I think Carolina can also win this division. I think Carolina could possibly be that seventh spot in the NFC, to where they're playing the number 2 seed, whether that be Philly or the Niners, however the NFC plays out this year. So I'm really looking out for Carolina. 5 is Detroit. I know Detroit can be higher on the list. They definitely can, because I definitely love their roster as well. Same thing with Carolina. But with Detroit, they've been around for a lot longer. This team has been together for a while now. They have new faces right now with Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery. Those are 2 solid backs. They're going to be able to take the load off of Jared Goff. And I think Jared Goff is really great when he doesn't have to worry about throwing the ball 35, 40 times. He can do it, but he's like in that Dak Prescott mode where you don't want him throwing the ball 25, 30 times. They can, but you don't really want them doing that, especially if you can lean on a solid defense and a run game. And they're going to be able to do that because they have 2 good running backs that can do that. Jahmyr Gibbs is like, for me, another Alvin Kamara in this league. You're going to see it. I don't need to do any much talking. Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be able to do that. If you look at his film, what he did at Alabama, played exactly like Alvin Kamara. He was a guy that was able to catch the ball out of the backfield, run routes, right up your linebacker, slot corner, your nickel corner. He's able to do everything, your safety. So you're going to have to put a legit corner or a solid enough corner on Jahmyr Gibbs if you want to contain him. Then you got Penei Sewell. You got Taylor Decker. You got Frank Ragnow. You got a solid offensive line. You got Jameson Williams. If he isn't doing nothing stupid like any of that online betting or anything like that, I think you're going to be just fine. You got Amon-Ra St. Brown. You got Sam Laporta out of Iowa, who got praise from former Iowa with George Kittle. But if George Kittle is speaking on you as a tight end in general, especially since they see you in person at tight end U camp, and George Kittle speaking high of you, because George Kittle is a tier 1 tight end with Travis Kelce, he putting praise on you. I think Sam Laporta is going to do really well in the NFL. If you just look at his tape as well, even though that, you got great recognition from one of the best tight ends in the league, I think you go out there with a solid offensive scheme, you're going to be just fine. Defensively, Aiden Hudson, defensive star, coming out in the league. Then you got Kirby Joseph at safety. You got Malcolm Rodriguez. Then you got Jack Campbell. So I think they're really set defensively where they're going to be a lot better than last year, I believe. I know they did lose Jeff Okudah. They lost a couple of defensive starters, but I think they're going to be just fine with getting better at certain key positions, and they are helping out their defensive run game. So also teams are able to run the ball on them as well. And number 6, Chicago. For Chicago, it's going to be a battle for them to get into the playoffs. But for them, I think they're going to be stopped defensively, and I think they're going to get a lot better offensively. I had a debate with somebody on Instagram, and I was saying that Justin Fields was clear-cut the second best quarterback to come out of that 2021 class, because they were talking about how Trey Lance is going to be the backup's backup. And I was saying that, I don't know why the Niners even went there when Justin Fields, if you want to go off of recency bias, which a lot of people love to do, if you just look at Justin Fields' college record or his college career, he had a way better resume than any of the quarterbacks outside of Trevor Lawrence. And then if you want to throw in Mac Jones, but Justin Fields had a lot more playability, big playability, that if in today's offense, you would like a Justin Fields more than a Mac Jones, because if your quarterback can't skip the pocket and do something with his legs now, that's what you're seeing with the league, is moving forward in that transitioning of that part where if your quarterback can also be an extension of your run game in spots, not be a heavy guy like how Vic was back in the day, or even a Cam Newton, I think your offensive line can excel in this league if your quarterback can use his legs in spots, like I'm saying. But Justin Fields is going to be able to run the ball. He still can throw the ball. He showed you that in Clemson. He showed you that when he played Clemson again in that 2019-2020 season, which they got robbed of going to the national championship back-to-back years. He lit up Clemson the second time when they had to go play Bama in the championship. But, Bama was obviously the better team. But Justin Fields is a great quarterback in my opinion. A legit number 1 wide receiver is going to excel for him in his 3rd year in the league. And I feel like that's what a lot of quarterbacks need. Jalen Hurts didn't look that great until he got A.J. Brown. Josh Allen didn't look great at all until he got Stephon Diggs. Dak, he didn't look that well until he got Amari Cooper. So there's a bunch of quarterbacks that don't look that great, but once they have that legit wide receiver that can get open and make plays for them, it's going to be a lot easier. So I feel like that with Fields. I feel like, you got the weapons around him, Cole Kmet, Darnell Mooney, you got Chase Claypool, who I think that if he's the 3rd wide receiver, he excels at that point, because he's not that receiver as he claims to be, where he's going to be easily that guy who can win consistently against some of these top cornerbacks in the league. But I think that, you got him, you got a solid running game. Offensive line is getting better. You got Darnell Wright. Defensively, Jalen Johnson. You still got Eddie Jackson. So I still think that they can make some things shake defensively. But I think Chicago is going to be a solid team where you don't be surprised, because you got Justin Fields who can ball. They got a lot better. You got Tremaine Edmonds, TJ Edwards. So, they got a lot better defensively, especially looking at the NFC North. And I think that Detroit can win that division. I understand that Minnesota, they have a better looking team on paper, but I don't think defensively they got any better. They lost Pat Pete, Zadarius Smith. So they lost some key defensive players. Offensively, they're going to be solid, but nothing game-changing. So, again, my 6 teams were the Seahawks, the Saints, the Falcons, the Panthers, Detroit, and the Chicago Bears. And that's about it for the video. Hope you guys have a nice day. See you later. Stay safe. Stay blessed. Bye.